We've heard the story time and time again. Square Enix's games not, reaching expectation, not selling as well as, they hope. And every single time, it just seems to just be a joke, it almost feels like. Because Square Enix has been kind of running this whole, not been selling as well, at least as far as I remember, for the past 10 years. And I'm only using a frame of reference from the reboot Tomb Raider series. Yes, the reboot Tomb Raider from 2012. From that point onwards, for sure, almost every single game they've released feels like it's just missed sales expectations. And I'm sure previous games that they've released before then may have also fallen under that exact same category. So let's talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because that's what we're going to be talking about here. So it's probably no surprise that Rebirth failed to sell, and so did Final Fantasy 16, given that they were PlayStation 5 exclusives during that period of time. Well, as we all know, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth did in fact also release on PC, and is now the third best selling game of the month of January 2025, which is the month that it released. Now, there are a lot of gaming journalist headlines currently saying that Final Fantasy VII has gotten a massive boost. But the thing is that that's kind of true. Kind of in the sense that they've just dropped the game on another platform. So a boost in sales, especially with a game that's extremely high profile, such as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, is just going to happen. That is an inevitability, alright? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has been talked about a lot. It was advertised to come to PC eventually. There are trailers, talking about the PC version. So this should not surprise anyone that a lot of people are going to be interested in its PC release. The problem, though, about ranking on the sales is that it's actually based on Circana, previously known as NPD. Now, while it's number 3 currently on the charts of sales, it's worth keeping in mind that the sales for Rebirth last year, when it came out on PS5, it charted high initially, but then dropped off fairly quickly, weeks, if not a month after its initial release. So, what's not to say that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to go through the same thing all over again? So just to give you a basic idea, and keeping in mind that the rankings in terms of sales is in dollar sales. Number 1 is Call of Duty Black Ops 6, so this is for January 2025, mind you. So yeah, COD Black Ops 6 at number 1, Madden NFL 25 at 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth at 3, EA Sports FC 25, Minecraft is 5, Marvel Spider-Man is number 6, number 7, EA Sports College Football, 8, Donkey Kong Country Returns, 9, Hogwarts Legacy, and 10, Sonic Generations. Now, even though I'm talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, there's another game on that list that could easily fall under the exact same conversation that we're having right now, which is Marvel Spider-Man 2. That also got a PC release, effectively jumping it into the top 10 in terms of release. Now, why are we mainly talking about FF7 Rebirth, however, is not necessarily the jump from 56th place to 3rd in terms of sales charts, because keeping in mind that the game's been on PS5 for nearly a year now. But the fact of the matter is that, again, like I said, it's the game dropping on an additional platform, getting more sales, but only time is going to tell whether or not that's actually going to maintain, or if it's going to drop. And if it drops, by how much? Because like I said, it could still substantially drop in the sales charts quite quickly and quite easily, because again, the first month that a game releases usually is charting pretty high for the most part. So like I said, with Marvel Spider-Man 2, that's going to drop off fairly quickly, I feel like, because again, that came out also in January, so that it's just a matter of time, realistically speaking. And FF7 Rebirth is an extremely good game on top of that. There's a lot of really good stuff that's going on. I just personally am not a fan of the actual story changes that were being made and the way the game ends. But that's just me, and also a weakness of it being the second game in a trilogy. You can take that however it is. But I'm really curious to see how things actually move forward with this, because like I said, the game could drop off fairly drastically, and then Square Enix could look at us dead in the eyes and say, sorry, but the game just completely failed to reach sales expectations once again. And the funny thing is that sure, you could release games on PC and on PlayStation at the same time, but is that really going to make that big of a difference? Because people who play games on PlayStation aren't necessarily going to buy the games on PC. And people who play games on PC may buy games on PlayStation. But that, again, seems quite unlikely. Whereas the PlayStation player buying the PC version is incredibly unlikely. So, say for example, if the game were to drop, theoretically speaking, day one on both platforms, PC and PlayStation, would the sales equate accordingly, or do you think sales are greater because the release has staggered between the platforms? Because I feel like if FF7 Rebirth were to drop on both PC and PlayStation, it would easily hit number one on the sales charts. That just goes without saying. But how much of a dent is it going to make in the market to where that's all people are going to play, that's all people are going to talk about? The fervor is still very much going to be there. But are those sales actually going to equate higher than this whole staggered release almost a year after? It's very difficult to tell, but I feel like Square Enix are in a position where they can actually test that theory with many of their games that have been coming out. So they have data for this game. Maybe they could release the third installment across both platforms on day one of the Final Fantasy VII remake trilogy, and then see how that goes. Will that work out better for them? Will it work out worse? Again, there's also the element that it's going to be the third and final part of a trilogy, mind you. So there are other elements that could be determined from just the third game not selling as well, among other things. Like, it could quite easily go any way possible. And also the fact that it seems like the PC version is only just a port of the console release. Now, is that actually true? I'm not 100%, but people are having issues playing the game and, you know, finding some glitchy and bugginess in the game. Whereas I think on PlayStation it was fairly I wouldn't say bug free, but it certainly worked a lot better from what I recall in terms of seeing the actual gameplay clips and just seeing the conversation online. But like I said, I probably can't comment too much on that because I haven't played the game myself on PC. With that being said, however, let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Do you think that I'm crazy in thinking that if they drop the game on both platforms at the same time, it would sell more than if they did the staggered release? Because the staggered release does kill some of the game's hype because the game had already released. I don't know, it's just trying to find that middle ground. Because when it comes to online games, ideally you want to drop it on all platforms at the same time so everyone can play together, given that there is some implementation of cross platform play. That's a very important thing to have. But I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about this. But with all that being said, I like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 500 subs by the end of the year. Comment below on anything that you think, want to say or talk about. And yeah, I upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.